Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Patrick Tenney, and we're going to be talking about Sales Gorilla and what that is. Patrick's got a new. He's built an arc. He's put a lot of effort, time, and effort into Sales Gorilla. Now, everybody knows Patrick, or should know Patrick, because he's an excellent, if not one of the best, if not the best sales negotiator in the world. And what he's done is he's taken all of his knowledge and put it into a website that anybody can access. So, Pat, tell people where they can get hold of you.
So I'm easiest to find on LinkedIn, and barring that, Patrick Tinney, sales author, into any search engine, and it just fills.
And the website that we're talking about is sales-gorilla.com.
Yeah, www-sales-gorilla.com. Getting used to the name. Yeah, it's a website that I kind of started to work on about a year ago, but I didn't understand what I was doing until people started asking me, "Do you realize what you're doing?" And that's when the whole thing started to take off. I mean, you were there, Tim. I mean,
Yeah. I was. I mean, so what was your inspiration behind the creating this sales negotiation website?
well, I two things hit me at once. One was that I started to see a lot more people using video. I saw a lot more people using podcasts and streaming, um, and that I wasn't very good at it. But with a few adjustments, that I could be good. So I remember the day that I called into my ad agency and said, "Listen, I need to have a few videos done." And the CEO just sort of said to me, "No, Pat," he says, "you're not doing any of those here." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You've already figured it out." I said, "I don't know what that means." And he said, "In short, you know how to frame yourself in the camera. You know how to speak to the camera. 90% of the population, or some number near there, can't do it. And you figured it out. And you also figured out how to bring storylines to videos that other people can't do." So he said, you've got that happening. You just have to clean it up a bit." What happened at the same time was that I realized that looking at a few portals out there, sales was sort of a common denominator, but nobody had the depth of knowledge to bring sales negotiation in and differentiate it from strategy versus tactics. And I think tactics are being so overly used in the negotiation world that it's clouding our salespeople's minds up. It's like putting a whole bunch of junk in their minds that is never going to work. And I thought, holy smoke! So there's a bit of a mission here. And on top of that, my book, Unlocking Yes, the Revised Edition, I wrote it twice, actually 3 times. And I thought, there's just so much more in the way of corner cases, things that you'll only run into if you've been around as long as Tim or Pat, doing the size of deals that we did. But can you remember what those cases were? Because one of the problems for entrepreneurs is it's so expensive making mistakes in negotiations. That was largely the impetus to get this going. The last piece was the amount of research I did in doing 50 bookstore signings, finding out that roughly 90% of the population that I spoke to, and I spoke to thousands of people, Tim, overestimated their negotiation skills dramatically compared to reality.
Yes. So I mean, so I understand the inspiration. Do you see? Are you filling a gap here, or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You see, a lot of people talk about negotiation as if they've lived it. I'm sorry. The only way that you get to talk about it with that very full-throated manner is if you've been the guy in the room or the lady in the room. If you've got a deal book that is like my lifetime deal book is just under 400 million. I don't even count what I did after age 38. So I got pushed into management because they got tired of me making too much money. And so I don't even so if I added all my management experience to it and all the products that I launched in there and all the rest of it, it'd be a ridiculous number. It'd be like over $1 billion. So why do that? I mean, 400 million is enough. But how many people do you know in the marketplace right now who talk about sales and negotiation have a deal book that size?
I don't I don't
Yeah,
I don't know anybody.
I can't find them, and I can't find another website like this.
Hmm. So what makes Sales Gorilla different, and what's its secret sauce?
Well, I think the big thing is that it is the focus on sales relative to negotiation.
Yes.
So if you look at sales, it's prospecting, it's consultative selling, it's sales negotiation. By the way, the fourth piece is getting paid. But when you look at those three vistas, then you have the panoramic view. But the difference is that the last piece, sales negotiation, is the least understood, the most ego driven, and the one that people spend the least amount of time on.
Yes.
I flipped it around and I sort of said, geez, I feel comfortable with the other two positions within sales, but I feel most comfortable with sales negotiation simply because I faced some of the worst, awful, most terrible situations that one could hope for and managed to navigate my way through. And what I did was with Unlocking Yes, the revised edition, I started to write down all of the horrible things that people were doing to me in sales negotiation from the buyer perspective. And so I had this enormous base. But I mean, Unlocking Yes, the revised edition could be twice the size again, because what people have been realizing as I've created the 900 plus videos, actually it was more like about 11 or 1200. I've deleted a lot of them. They just said, Pat, you realize there's another 5 books sitting on this website? I said, quite possibly, but I'm not going to be the guy to write them. It's just too much time. And I just felt like I could bring sales negotiation alive in video, short video, much better than I could any other way.
So who's your ideal visitor for Sales
I,
Gorilla?
I think there's two people. One is it's the entrepreneur, because I think that mistakes are so costly for them. The second part is salespeople in SMLs and B2B. So I just think that the family businesses are going to get it because they're generational sales, and when they do have horrible problems, then they've got to have somewhere to go. The B2B crowd are going to get it because the numbers are so big. Tim, you were there, you know.
I
And
do.
when the numbers get really big, the guys upstairs call down and say, fix it. Okay. And then somebody's got to go out and they've got to go out and handle horrible situations. Like I've had to go back and walk into advertising agencies and say to people, guys, my guy signed a contract that you don't deserve. And my people are going to be very disenchanted upon delivery. You don't want that. So can we sit down and talk about renegotiating the deal that my guys shouldn't have negotiated? And let's get it so that my people love delivering your product. Can you imagine having that conversation?
Yes. I
Not
can
fun.
imagine how shitty that was.
Oh, it was bad. It's the most uncomfortable ever. So, I just think that you have to live a robust sales life in order to be able to, unequivocally give people the best solution at that moment. And by the way, 24/7.
So what is it? What can people expect when they go to Sales Gorilla?
Well, that's a great question. So what I decided was that the the number of videos that I have was so massive that it was an ocean. And I didn't want to put descriptors on the videos because that would stress people out. So I just put titles on them. And I thought, keep everything 5 minutes or less. The ones around 5 minutes are generally strategy. I cannot explain strategy in less than 5 minutes. Anybody who tries is crazy. There's a couple of them there that are easy to do, but most of them are not. So beyond that, it's the things that you must do correctly. And what I didn't do in my book was this time around, because I had the extra real estate, I said, why not just devote a section to, and by the way, don't do this. And it's one of those things where people say, well, if you've done a proper workup for a negotiation, you got everything right. I'm sorry. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and they have to, it's from the very beginning of the mission. Do you understand what they asked for, but do you also understand what their intentions are? Because those are two different things. What motivates them versus what they asked for is sometimes a trap. And so you've got to get it right. And it could be looking good internally in front of their superiors.
So what you've done is that you've created all of these videos. You also have on there podcasts, but this is all focused around negotiation, isn't it?
It is. What I would say is that if you go to the so what I did was I put all of the short videos in alphabetical order, because when we're under the most amount of stress, when deals break down, typically it's Thursday night, Friday night, or on the weekend. All right, when you got nobody to call, or you're on the road and you're in a big time difference and you got nobody to talk to, right? And there's nothing worse than not coming home with a deal. But signing a bad deal is even worse than not coming home with the deal.
Yes.
It is. So what I do is I put everything in alphabetical. If you look at the letters N, meaning negotiation, and S, you've got hundreds of videos. So what you do to get to, say, strategy. So what we did was we put in a search engine bar. So one of the cool people have asked me, they said, well, did you think about using AI? Yes, I did. The two platforms that I use to film on and enhance the videos are both in AI. So that's I could go on for hours to talk about that, other than to say that now that the site is finished, I can move it into 9 different languages like that. And 9 different languages probably gets me 75% of the world.
Yes.
Right? So the most important thing to me was to de-stress the site. So I de-stressed the site by putting everything in alphabetical order, with the exception of the podcast. The podcasts are there to say, all right, so Pat said all of these things. What is he like under the heat of the gun? Just like now, right? Can he actually give us the correct answer for this difficult situation we're in? So there's one more way that you use this really smart, is let's say that your problem is complex. Now, every negotiation is different, but some of them get just crazy. I mean, look at the things we're looking at around the world right now. Have you ever seen mayhem like it? Because I haven't, right? I've just never seen anything like it. So what about if you were able to, capture that and then drop your problem, let's say it's this big, drop it into chat and GPT and just say, compress this into keywords. So now you've ended up with 8 or 10 or 12 keywords. Now drop all those keywords into the search engine and hit press. What do you get? You get a list of videos. And then what you do is you go through and you sort of say to yourself, all right, so I'm going to listen to these videos. They're all pertaining to my problem. I'm going to take some notes. And then I'm going to do something that's really neat. And this is what I noticed about 2-3 years ago, is that buyers were starting to stack their buying strategies on top of each other to get a super strategy. So we as salespeople, we can't use those kinds of things against our partner. So what we have to do is we have to stack the solutions on top to make sure that we de-risk any deal that we take to them. But it has to manage all the complexity of what it is that they're asking for. And then you go back and you say, all right, ranked by importance to the customer, by dollar value, by solution, by de-risking the deal, by having something that they can sell internally.
Because one of the things that I've been with you for 12 months on this journey, in terms of just standing at the sidelines saying, "Come on, Pat, keep going."
Oh my God!
But I mean, the vision that I saw, which you've created, is that going in to negotiate multi-million-dollar deals. I'm not a big negotiator. I've done courses, but not a lot. But a lot of people have no skill about it at all. They may have something, having worked for a big company, there may be certain guidelines that I would,
Correct.
you can't go outside these guidelines. But apart from that, and you're going in and doing these multi-million-dollar deals, having a resource like this that I can just sit there quietly for a couple of hours to actually train myself on that. For me, I could see that as being something that could add millions of dollars. I can walk away with $12 million rather than $10 million.
Oh, so you've just hit on one of my bugaboos, and one of my bugaboos is that, so I've talked to, I mean, I've worked with some beautiful clients, so have you, and I can remember talking to the guys from Microsoft, and I said, what if I could help you, increase the value of your negotiations by a single percentage point? And it was kind of a giggle, right? But it's not. You see, when I do things like cost modeling, all right, and I start to break down the cost of a product, I may break that down not into dollars, but into 25-cent pieces, right? Because every 25-cent piece that you go up or down in price has a number that falls out the bottom, right? And it's not just that. Here's the important thing to remember. The new decision is not making a decision. That's the new decision now. That's the new negotiation. So what we have to do is we have to make our solution to the problem, or if we're trying to land the whale, and whale means something different to everybody.
Yeah.
If you own a 2 stores, a whale might be $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. If you work for Oracle, it could be $500 million.
Yep.
Right. I know that when I talk to the Microsoft guys, it's like they're 9-figure deals. Mine were 8.
Yep.
And there's a certain clamminess that goes around 8 8-figure deals because it's a number of jobs. So even internally, you have to sell deals within your company, which can sometimes be harder than the external one. But with the external one, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so simple that you take a very complicated proposal and you say to the person, you share with the person that you're sitting with, do me a favor, take this home to your wife, take this home to your husband, present my materials to them, and then ask them if they understand what you said. Now, if they do understand what you said and they can repeat it back to you, then you're ready to go sell it internally within your company, because the buyer then becomes the salesperson and they have to sell it up through their executive team. This is the part, honestly, Tim, this is the part that I think that a lot of people in sales, now the B2B guys get it because they've set up things like, and I don't like the term, but they're called capture teams. I find that just an awful way to put it. But, I've worked with teams, and I can share with you, the guy who is the sales lady or the sales guy may not be the leader of that negotiation because it comes too technical. But then you've got to simplify it again. You see, I think that we've made a whole pile of mistakes. First of all, we slice sales up into so many pieces, I don't even know what it looks like anymore. To me, to be a complete seller, you've got to be good at prospecting, consultative selling, and sales negotiating. You just can't say, well, I'm an SDR. What does that mean? I don't close deals.
So Pat, we've got a minute and a half left.
Yeah.
What I was going to do was I was just going to bring Sales Gorilla up just to so people could see it, and just give people a view in terms of the fact it's a very simple thing to look at, and what you get are these short videos of Pat. I've actually not got access to it, but in effect what you're doing is that you're providing all of these short videos, and what you're doing is you're providing an expertise and ability for people to go in and search on the particular subject area that they want.
That's right. And we added one more important tool, a bookmarking tool. Because there's 900 of them, if you discover, say, 50 that you really like and pertain to your business, bookmark them. And they go in and they become your curated site. One last thing is that we've attached ourselves to the World Wildlife Fund for the African mountain gorilla, which I think is so important. And part of the proceeds from Sales Gorilla will be a small portion will be donated to the African mountain gorilla to the World Wildlife Fund. And I leave it to people who visit the site just to make it a maybe make it a decision about just giving to the African mountain gorillas, because they're being deforested, and they share 80% of our DNA or more. I think Tim, because you went and had a tour, and you were on
I've seen gorillas in yes, I have.
Oh, I
I'm
can't
trying to
even
remember
believe.
where.
Yeah, well, probably Uganda.
Uganda. It was in
Yeah,
Uganda.
yeah, huge population there. A male is like 500 pounds, 600 pounds. But what we wanted to do with gorilla, and you can see it from the logo to the treatment to the video, everything, is to respect the creature, respect our brother here. And the other thing is to make this a peaceful place to come and make hard decisions, because negotiating is hard, and that's why people give up on it. It's too easy to crack deals that are just at the bottom end of your channel, saying, all right, this is as much as I can give away. Take it. That's not how
Pat,
it
thank you
works.
so much for coming on and talking about Sales Gorilla. Where can people find you?
Well, again, LinkedIn, and you can visit me through Gorilla, leave some notes there, or you can visit me through my other company, Centroid Training and Marketing, leave a note there, or just search the internet. I mean, you drop my name and sales author into Google, and you get about 13 pages.
Or you can go to sales-gorilla.com.
Yes. Yeah, there's a notes page there. Just drop me a quick note. Tell me what you're thinking. And if it's a really bad one, I'll jump on a call with you in the first 10, 15 minutes or at my cost.
Pat, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Sales Gorilla. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.